Hello everyone, how are you? The Kremlin plans shift the blame for its failures in Ukraine to the military. UK Mod, as UK Defense Ministry stated on Twitter, Kremlin is planning to blame senior Russian military commanders for failures to achieve objectives on the battlefield in Ukraine on the 3rd of November 2022. I will convey to you today's important developments. And I'll look into what might be on the map. If you want the war to end, I would appreciate it if you like the video and comment. Don't hold back your support and let's show our stance. Major General Alexander Linkov was reportedly appointed acting commander of Russia's Central Military District. Linkov replaces Colonel General Alexander Lapin, who was sacked from the office of commander of the Central Army Group of the Russian forces. If confirmed, this follows a series of dismissals of senior Russian military commanders since the onset of the invasion in February 2022. The commanders of the Eastern, Southern, and Western military districts were replaced earlier this year. Lapin has been widely criticized for poor performance on the battlefield in Ukraine by both Chechen leader Ramzan Kadyrov and Wagner head Yevgeny Prigozhin. These dismissals represent a pattern of blame against senior Russian military commanders for failures to achieve Russian objectives on the battlefield. This is in part likely an attempt to insulate and deflect blame from Russian senior leadership at home. Ukraine expects positive answer from Germany for the supply of Leopard 2 tanks. We expect to soon receive a positive answer from Germany regarding the delivery of Leopard 2 main battle tanks from Germany directly to Ukraine, said Alexei Mikheyev, Ukrainian ambassador in Germany. Citing information published by NTV website, Ukraine would be in talks with Germany to acquire Leopard 2 tanks. Since the beginning of the war in Ukraine, Germany has already delivered or will supply several types of combat vehicles including PZH 2155mm howitzers, Iris-TS-LM air defense missile system, Mars 2 MLRS rocket launcher systems, Dingo 2 4x4 armored vehicles, as well as ammunition, small weapons, and individual equipment. During the European Council on Foreign Relations in September 2022, Germany has suggested the possibility to deliver Leopard 2 tanks to Ukraine. It was also recommended that European countries, which have the Leopard 2 in stock, should form a group to provide Ukraine with 90 battle-ready tanks. The delivery of main battle tanks to Ukraine would be crucial to fighting the Russian army in the next phase of the war. Analysts Gustav Gressel, Raphael Loss, and Janet Paglarin recently wrote a report, and they suggested that the German government should create a consortium of European Leopard 2 users for this purpose, and explained that 12 European armies and Turkey had more than 2,000 various Leopard 2 tanks between them. The Leopard 2 is one of the most modern main battle tanks in the world. It entered into service with the German army in 1979 and was upgraded several times since its first introduction. The tank is in service with 13 European armed forces including Austria, Denmark, Finland, Germany, Greece, around 20 Ukrainian cities, towns and villages in Lviv, Kharkiv, Donetsk, Dnipropetrovsk, Zaporizhia, Kherson, Mykolaiv and Vinnytsia oblasts came under Russian fire. There were no significant changes on the Volyn and Polisia fronts. On other fronts, the Russians continued to fire on military and civilian targets. On the Sivershchina front, Russian forces deployed mortars and tubed artillery to fire on areas in the vicinity of Krinivka, Lyskivshchina, Karpovichy, Timonovichi, Leonivka, Chernihiv Oblast, and Katarinivka, Novomykolaivka and Zapsilia, Sumy Oblast. On the Slobodshchina front, Russian forces deployed mortars and tubed artillery to fire on areas in and around Zolochiv, Haliboke, Staritsia and Oherzev, on the Kupiansk and Lyman fronts. Hungary, Norway, Poland, Portugal, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, and Turkey. Together they have more than 2,000 vehicles across different variants and levels of readiness. On October 16, 2022, Ukraine asked German Chancellor Olaf Scholz to create a European tank alliance that would allow the transfer of 200 Leopard 2 tanks to Ukraine. The Leopard 2A4 was the first operational variant in the Leopard 2 tank family, and it was followed by the versions A5, A6, A7, and A7V, which recently entered into service with the German army. According to the Military Balance 2021, the German army has a total of 245 main battle tanks including 225 Leopard 2A5, A6, 19 Leopard 2A7, an undisclosed number of Leopard 2A7V and 78 Leopard 2A4 in store. Germany could deliver the Leopard 2A4 tanks that are in stock but which may need maintenance and upgrading. The Leopard 2A4 is a German-made main battle tank designed and manufactured by the company Krauss-Maffei-Wegmann, the successor of the main battle tank Leopard 1. The version Leopard 2A4 constitutes the basis of today's Leopard family. It is armed with a 120mm smoothbore gun which has been developed by Rheinmetall and fires two types of ammunition, APFS-DST and Heat MPT. The APFS-DST has an effective range of over 2,000 meters and the Heat MPT has a high degree of effectiveness against both soft and hard targets. The hull of the Leopard 2A4 has spaced multi-layer armor and is divided into three compartments: driver at the front, fighting in the center, and power pack at the rear. Some variants of the Leopard 2A4 are equipped with add-on armor to increase the protection of the crew against mines and improvised explosive devices. U.S. urges Ukraine to be open to talks with Russia. The U.S. is privately encouraging Ukraine to signal an openness to negotiate with Russia, The Washington Post reported, as the State Department said Moscow was escalating the war and did not seriously wish to engage in peace talks. The newspaper cited unnamed sources as saying the request by American officials was not aimed at pushing Ukraine to the negotiating table, but a calculated attempt to ensure Kyiv maintains the support of other nations. Fighting last week. Russia said the evacuation zone would also include a 15 km, 10-mile, buffer area on the east bank. Kyiv says the measures have included forced deportations of civilians, a war crime, which Russia denies. Putin's comments came amid signs Russia could be preparing to abandon its military foothold on the west bank of the Dnipro, including Kherson City. The regional capital is the only big city Russia has captured intact since its invasion in February. Its loss for Russian forces would be one of the severest blows of the war. Pictures have circulated on the internet showing the main administration building in Kherson City with Russia's flag no longer flying atop it. Kyiv has been wary, saying such signs could be Russian deception to lure Ukrainian troops into a trap. The fiercest fighting over the last week had taken place around Bakhmut and Soledar, in the eastern Donetsk region about 500 kilometers, 300 miles, northeast of Kherson, Zelensky said late on Friday. World in Crisis provides grim backdrop for COP27 UN climate talks in Egypt. Envoys from around the globe have gathered in the Egyptian seaside resort of Sharm el-Sheikh for talks on tackling climate change that come as the world also grapples with multiple crises, including the war in Ukraine, high inflation, food shortages and an energy crunch. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres warned last week that the planet was heading towards irreversible climate chaos, unless countries find a way to put the world back on track to cut emissions and help poor countries cope with the impacts of global warming. More than 40,000 participants have been registered for this year's talks, reflecting the sense of urgency as major weather events around the world impact many people and cost billions of dollars in repairs. Egypt said more than 120 world leaders will attend, many of them speaking at a high-level event on November 7 to 8, while U.S. President Joe Biden was expected to arrive later in the week. Thank you for listening. I will keep you informed of the hottest developments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.